welcome back to the Derailment Chronicles, where no train of thought ever stays on track. And if nobody has told you today, I'm glad that you're here with me in this moment. I'm glad that we're sharing this moment. Wow, we're coming into the 5th month of the year, girl. And so much has happened in April. Okay, number one, we went on our first international family holiday to Fiji. Got our first stamps on that passport. It was so nice, so wonderful. We stayed at the Naviti, which is an all-inclusive resort, which was so nice. Met so many locals, had such good times. Like, the people over there is so nice, and they're just so happy. And it was a 2-hour bus ride from the airport. We got transfers included in our package, and oh my god, just seeing the houses, I knew it was third world, but I was picturing what would be middle class for them. I was picturing that as how they would sort of be living, but so that was a bit of a shock, but it was also a realization that, we need to be grateful for what we have, because even though they have less, they're just truly happy because they're happy with what they have. And that's inspiring and that's nice. But they were saying, we're talking to some of the locals, because we got adopted into a community. They were saying Kmart clothing, let's just say I don't know if you can still get a shirt for $6 Australian over here. When they would shop at secondhand stores, and that brand new shirt for $6 Australian would be $20 Fijian from a secondhand thrift store over there. So it gets quite expensive for secondhand clothing and stuff, which is surprising, but also yeah, okay, all the import costs and stuff. So that was pretty eye-opening, but we had sunny weather most of the time. The resort was great. We did go and do a fishing charter outside of the resort. We didn't book it through the resort, but we booked it through other people at the resort, because they had these huts where you could buy, they do experience, and the money goes to the locals rather than through the resort. So we did one with a local charter, and his name was Joe, and if you ever go, he is Fiji Ocean Islands and Tours. He's on Facebook and Instagram. We went and we did that, and it was great. I caught a yellowfin tuna, and then so when you go on the charters, they tell you can either give the fish to the captain or skipper for them, or you can choose to take the fish that you catch. The resort charged, I think, $20 Fijian corkage to cut it up, cook it, sort of thing. So we ended up, because there was other people on the charter with us, we ended up having a barbecue with it on the beach, and then they cut up, his whole sort of community, his whole family came down to the beach. There was 8, 9 kids running around swimming in the water. It's a little secluded beach. Water's crystal clear. It's nice and warm. Anyway, they brought down this marinade for the stuff. They brought down all the cooking stuff, and they had a little fire. Actually, there was no gas. It was just basically a fire, and then they put a grill plate on top. And he gave us some what's the raw fish, and you cut it up? Is it sashimi? I think that's how you pronounce it. And I was a bit iffy because I was oh, raw fish. Okay. And I should have been iffy, and everybody else was like the other people on there were like taking it, and they're like, oh my god, this is gonna be so good, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so then, Joe came around with it in the bowl in the marinade, and he was like, oh, have some. Because it was actually the fish I caught that we cut up, because it was the biggest one, so it was feeding the most people, which I didn't mind. And I took it, and it was delicious as. But ended up getting food poisoning from that. Found out that you're actually like sashimi is meant to be white, and this was a little bit pink. And then they didn't fully bleed the fish. Nor was it kept on ice because it was too big for the esky, and there was no ice in the esky, which I came to find out. So, basically, it's like a type of fish poisoning, and that means like yellowfin tuna is pretty high on like antihistamines. So histamines. So then you have to you have to take antihistamines to help it, but the type of poisoning I got is meant to last for up to 5 days, like initial symptoms. I didn't get all the symptoms, I just had the shivers and stuff coming out the other end. I wasn't vomiting or anything. Gastrostop helped sort that all out. And some hydrolytes. I didn't know you could take up to 40 hydrolyte tablets a day. I was like, damn, that's a lot of tablets, because they sell them in packs of 60. So, the big packs are in 60. So, I did get a little bit dehydrated, but that was better than dealing with everything else. But the symptoms have started to waver. We're up to day 5 today. So, learnt my lesson. They said some can last up for couple of months, so I've got no fish from me for 6 months, and it said no alcohol for 3 months, so we'll see how I'm feeling. So yeah, even though that happened, we still got to go to like the waterfalls and stuff. Like, it was a really good holiday. Yeah, so had a lot of fun. And then while we're over there, the Pope died. Rest in peace, Pope Francis. I was reading it and I was like, surely not. And then like multiple news sources reported it, because when I was looking at it, it was like 30 minutes after he had publicly been announced to have passed. I knew he had had some health battles. And they have a no-fly zone over Rome while people are like paying their respects to him. So I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh, are they worried people are like going to come and bomb his, like drop a bomb or something on the coffin, which is probably fair. There probably would be people that would do that. Because there was also neo-Nazis at the Anzac Day ceremony commemorations, and I just think that's rude. These people gave their lives so we can live here today and have the freedom to do what we want to do, to an extent, and then you're just coming in here and just sort of desecrating their honor, the memories that they have, the people that were lost. It's time and place, and that wasn't the time nor the place. Like, if the politicians can take a day off from campaigning to pay their respects, like, you can hold it in for an A. Okay, like, take a back seat. Just take a back seat. You can do it tomorrow, not today. Just wait 24 hours, please. So, yeah. Would recommend going to Fiji. Would go back again. The people were so nice. The flight wasn't that long. I will tell you, though, going from airport security from, like, Australia's side, I've been more scrutinised at security in the domestic airport than I have in the international airport. These people were like, nobody was yelling at you when you had to put like all your bags through the scanners. They were not like yelling at you being like, hats, belts, shoes, jumpers, phones, laptops. They were like, do you have anything in there that's electronic? I'm like, no. And they're like, alright, off you go. It was chill ass. But what's cool is when you come back, you can there's these little machines on the way to the baggage carousels in Australia Border Force, and you can scan your passport and get this e-ticket, which means you've already sort of checked back in with checked you out kind of thing on this electronic scanner, which means you can just go straight through border security to just do this photo matching thing, and then you're at the baggage carousels, instead of waiting in line to have to get in. Oh, also side note, if you do go to Fiji, get in the My Fiji package, because at the airport when you have to check in for them to check your passport and your boarding arrival documentation, the little cards they give you on the plane that you fill out, your purpose for coming here, etc. The line for the non-Fiji, non-My Fiji and non-Fijian residence line, oh my god, it was nearly out the door. Okay, it was nearly out the door. We had people on the same plane as us that were sitting across that were stuck in that line for an hour. Over an hour it took them to get through that line. We were through in 20 minutes because of the fast track for My Fiji. They were they have a guy there in a My Fiji shirt, okay, and he's like, oh, yeah, you're expected. Come through. Let's go. Let's pump you out kind of thing. So that was really helpful. And then they gave us, because we booked through My Fiji, they gave us a beach bag with sunscreen, insect repellent, beach ball, a hat. And the beach bag was really good. It's a good size. Good for spending day at the pool. A lot of people had them at the pool too. So a lot of people booked through My Fiji. So if you want to get fast track through the airport, go through My Fiji. It will be worth it. Otherwise, you will be waiting in the line for an hour at least. Because it's all on Fiji time. No hurry, no worry. Yeah, no, that's what everybody would say over there too. No hurry, no worry. Yeah, so that's what I've been up to. And yeah, let's bring on May. And so, yeah, without further ado, let's get into today's topic. Let's get into the topic today, which is about the 27 Club, and basically the meaning behind 27. What is the significance of 27, right? So let's get into it. So the 27 Club has become an elusive and remarkably tragic coincidence in rock and roll history, okay? The term 27 Club became so more widely known after Kurt Cobain's death in 1994, with fans connecting his age to that of Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, and Jimi Hendrix, okay? Basically, these artists would start to get big, be getting towards their creative peak, and then which would be around the age of 27, and unfortunately they would pass away. So, who are some of the names in the 27 Club? So, we have Robert Johnson, who died August 16th, 1938. He was a Delta blues artist, and his key songs were Crossroad Blues, Hellhound on My Trail, Sweet Home Chicago. He was set to play the guitar like nobody else had ever seen, right? And Netflix did a documentary on him called Crossroads with the Devil, which was really good. So he was really a pioneer of the Delta blues, the innovative guitar playing. It just really has influenced rock and blues music as we know it today. There's mystery around whether he sold his soul to the devil or not to learn to play guitar like that. So that he was surrounded by a lot of mystery because it was back in 1938, right? And not a lot of people knew about him. Not a lot was necessarily documented about him. So his member Jimi Hendrix, who died September 18th, 1970. Mainly known for psychedelic rock or blues rock. His key songs Voodoo Child, All on the Watchtower, Purple Haze. He has been widely regarded as one of the greatest guitarists of all times. He fused blues, rock, psychedelia, redefining basically electric guitar playing. Then you have Janis Joplin, who died October 4th, 1970, who was mainly known for blues rock and psychedelic rock and a bit of soul. Her key songs were like Me and Bobby McGee, Cry Baby, Peace in My Heart. She was really known for her raw emotional performances, powerful vocals, and just the late 60s counterculture movement, blending rock blues with unmatched intensity. Like, think like sort of Stevie Nicks if you haven't listened to her before. Mixed with a bit of like Bob Dylan. Like, think, yeah. Just go listen to her on Spotify if you haven't listened. Then next one's not a musician, but I was watching the Andy Warhol Diaries on Netflix a while ago, and there was this artist who was also 27 that when I was like, I want to do an episode of the 27 Club, like came to mind, and that's Jean Michael Basquiat, who died August 12th, 1988, and so his art was like street art or what they call neo expressionism. So his key works were Boy and a Dog, In Johnny Pump, Hollywood Africans, Untitled. So he started as a graffiti artist and then became a more contemporary art figure in the 1980s. But him and Andy Warhol would get on really well. He was very raw, very vibrant with his paintings. Combined a lot of text, symbols, social commentary, and he tackled themes of stuff that he was dealing with at the time, like race, identity, power. Then, as previously mentioned, Kurt Cobain is in the list. April 5th, 1994, he died, mainly known for grunge, alternative rock. Nirvana, if you've heard of them, frontman of Nirvana, key songs, Smells Like Teen Spirit, Come As You Are, Heart Shaped Box. Really became the face of grunge at his time. Had deeply personal songwriting, angst-filled vocals. Just really reshaped rock during the 90s. Then we had Amy Winehouse, who died July 23, 2011, known for soul, jazz, R&B. Some of her best known hits are Rehab, Back to Black, You Know I'm No Good. She sort of brought that jazzy vibe to the 21st century, just like smoky voice, brutally honest. It was just a distinctive style that she had that just made her music so good to listen to, right? So these are some of the big names that are in there. There's definitely more people, unfortunately. But reading this, you're like, okay, 27. 27 is like the magic number. 27 is the key theme that keeps reoccurring, okay? So I asked myself, well, what's the significance behind the number 27, okay? And based on what I had known before I started researching into the power of 27, I knew 9 was a very spiritual number, right? Because 2 plus 7 is 9, right? And I was like, okay, maybe, if things can add to 3, they can be divisible by 3, and 3 is like a spiritual number. So I was like, okay, maybe like 27 is some sort of combination of a spiritual number, okay? So turns out it does have some spiritual meanings, okay? So 27, so the spiritual significance of 27, it's associated with wisdom, humanitarianism, and a higher conscious, okay? That is because it is a blend of 2, which represents intuition, duality, relationships, sensitivity, right? Artists have got to be sensitive. Artists know how to bring this up. Artists often write songs about relationships, you know. 7 represents inner wisdom, spiritual awakening, mystery. Okay, did Robert Johnson sell his soul to the devil or not? Then the thing that starts getting tricky, as I said before, is you can add those numbers together to get 9, okay? So 9 represents endings, transformations, alignment, and the completion of cycles, okay? And it's also considered the number of spiritual fulfillment, sacrifice, and transition, okay? Which, if you ask me, okay, is a bit eerie. Okay, you think about these people. This is when they died. This is when the age that they died at. This is when they are moving on to another life. Like, they must have become like spiritually fulfilled or something, because it's the end, right? It's hinting completion. It hints at moving into the next phase, which is currently unknown. So that's a spiritual. That's like some of the spirit. That's the spiritual meaning behind 27. But you can also look at numerology, okay, as another way of coming at the significance of 27. So you might remember old mate Pythagoras with the triangles from MAFS, okay? Well, he's back again. He was a man that liked his numbers, okay? What can I say? Right, he liked his numbers. MAFS was his thing. Well, he also did things other than triangles, and he helped shape numerology as we know it today. Think about astrology and numerology sort of going side by side, okay? They aren't merging into each other's lane. They are there to sort of complement each other, right? Where astrology uses the planets, the time of your birth, where they were all aligned, to give you a birth chart to basically tell you about your life, and what you're going to achieve and stuff. Numerology uses your birth date, okay? And you continue to add up your birth date until you get to a single digit number. And these life path numbers range from 1 to 9, okay? With each basically having a different meaning. It's basically a birth chart, but you're getting told it by a number. And there are a lot of similarities between your astrology chart and your numerology chart, because I've looked into it. Okay, I've done it myself. So many numerologists believe that the number 9 is the number of old souls. Okay, you're carrying deep emotional and creative burdens, which, if you have heard about anybody that I mentioned before in the 27 Club, you'd know they would have been Amy Winehouse, Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, all carrying some weight. And they also believe that the age of 27 basically symbolically represents the final stage of a transformative journey, okay? So they're basically saying this is as far as these people were going to go. This actually was their peak. Like, we can't let them go any further. This is going to be dangerous, okay? So, final stage of a transformative journey where artists who are deeply connected to their emotions and their creativity face existential crossroads, okay? Something always seems to happen around age 27, right? So, age 27 is a turning point. You either go into a self-destructive mode or you get reinvented, right? And unfortunately, a lot of the artists chose the self-destruction path, which is quite sad. So that's sort of the numerology side. So we've had the spiritual side, we've had the numerology side. And then other theories that I have found about the 27 Club and like the significance of 27 is Saturn returns. Okay, now this is a bit more got more of an astrology influence to it. So around the late 20s, so between 27 to 30, it is said that that's when your Saturn returns. Okay, that is because it takes that long for Saturn to do one full cycle. and with it, it brings a period of intense personal reflections and transformations, which could have contributed to these artists feeling a bit more turmoil, getting into existential crisis mode, and just a lot of change happening in their life. But culturally, the 27 Club has sort of become a self fulfilling prophecy with just sometimes when you get that famous, it can actually be lead you to have more self-destructive patterns because more people are just saying yes to you because you've got all this influence, you've got all this money, which unfortunately has led to a lot of tragic deaths. So when digging into the 27 Club, I was like, you know what other numbers, do I see often? And the number 3 came to mind because, like, have you ever noticed just how, like, things start happening in threes? Like, it's a bit eerie, okay? You have, like, past, present, future, beginning, middle, and end, morning, day, and night. You have mind, body, and spirit. You have, in Christianity, there's the Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So, like, 3 just feels whole. There's birth, life, and death. Like, a lot of things come in 3s, right? And even if, like, something bad happens to you, like, it comes in 3s. Like, it's this sort of superstitious thing, but it always tends to come true. And so I was like, okay, 3, like, does this have some sort of connection to music? Okay, does this have any sort of relevance to the 27 Club, right? So I went searching, okay, and surprise, surprise, the number 3 is everywhere, okay? So, Western music, it builds on triads, so that's a 3-note chord, okay, which is basically your basic building block of a harmony. And you've got your root note, your third, and your fifth, and so this is what minor chords, it all depends on that third note, okay? Then you got rhythms that are in 3s, okay? The waltz, for example, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, okay? And it moves differently. Even the 12-tone scale used in Western music, it reduces, 1 plus 2 is 3, right? So 3s are based in sound, right? 3's very prominent in music, in sound, in vibrations, okay? Talking about vibrations, okay? And physics, okay? Ever heard of harmonics, okay? These are the natural vibrations that sound creates, okay? They vibrate in octaves, but when you divide those frequencies, okay, you get 3, 6, and 9, okay? And old mate Tesla, okay, not Elon Musk Tesla, okay, the guy that did the Tesla coils Tesla, okay, he reckoned if you could work out what the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9 were, you'd have the key to the universe, okay? So you even have, like, physics and, like, sciencey side in on these sort of rhythms, okay? This sort of multiples of 3 kind of thing. So three's got a lot of connections. 3's everywhere, okay? So let's bring this back down to earth, okay? Let's talk about 27 Club and the power of 3, okay? Because we talked about the power of 27, let's talk about the connections to the number 3, okay? 3 shows up in music for some of its most, like, iconic members, like Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, and it's just more than a pattern. It's like everything about these people, they had some sort of spiritual connection, whether they believed in it or not. Like, it just seems eerily too accurate, eerily too fitting for the lives that they lead, that we know about, that have been brought to the public, right? So let's talk about Mr. Jimi Hendrix, okay? So Jimmy, all about pushing musical boundaries. And one of the ways he did this is by using the tritone, okay? So a three-tone interval that creates tension and dissonance. And basically, Jimmy was really known for his guitar playing. And the tritone was sometimes referred to as like the devil's interval, which is a perfect reflection of his way to sort of express his raw emotions. Um, so think about tracks like Voodoo Child. Okay, there's a sort of hypnotic groove going on in there. That's based on those three bass patterns, and that weaves all through his music, all through the song. And then you've got your layering of your rhythms and your notes, and it just gives you an overall sense of completion. Um, it's sort of that's why like music can sort of make you feel spiritual, right? Like you have all your choir songs and stuff. It is the way in which they put music together and basing it on those um, basic chords. It's all sort of bringing it together. Then you have Kurt Cobain, grungy, raw, underground, changed the way of sort of like this grunge rock scene. Um, he had a lot of power chords. Okay, so with him, we're talking. It's like built off the root, then you got the fifth, and then you got the octave. Okay, so 1 + 5 + 8, you get 3 when you break it down. Okay, and it's simple, but simple music is often like so profound. You think about like Smells Like Teen Spirit. Okay, it used that 1, 5, and 8 um, rhythm pattern. Okay, and it was just so simple yet so effective. Based on the power of threes. Okay, and Amy Winehouse, jazz, soul, and R&B artists, and mixing all of those genres together, they tend to do come in triplets, right? Jazz and soul love threes. They love grouping rhythm into threes, which sort of gives them their smooth swaying kind of feel. Um, and then you also have like think back to back. Amy's vocals often complemented the triplets that were going on. Um, she had sort of the natural rhythms of speech, right? So you had the setup, you had the delivery, you had a punch line, okay? It's easy to recognize. Think about Back to Black. The way that she like each line, it's like she's having a conversation with you. And then her voice sort of sways and then it lifts and then it falls, and it's just basically like the whole song is threes are around it, threes are at the base of it, threes are everywhere, right? Which helps sort of makes it so smoothing because it's sort of like completion, right? Which is also linked, as we mentioned before, back to 27. And then Jim Morrison of The Doors. A lot of Jim Morrison's lyrics were revolved around themes of death, rebirth, and the unknown, right? So you got this grouping of threes all throughout his music. And then in Break on through to the other side. Morrison, tried to go beyond the boundaries of the physical world and into the spiritual realm, and it had 3 stages of like crossing over, the awakening, the new self, and these rhythms are often in threes, right? You think about the Doors as well. The group that he was a part of, they played a lot of rhythms based on triplets, and these 3 phase builds left you to feel like you're in like a trance like state. The song, The End, or real famous one, Riders of the Storm, right? You're sitting there and it's sort of hypnotic, and sort of, I don't know, you feel like you're transcending a little bit. And so that's because of these threefold stages that like transform with each note. So three is also really prominent with him. Then you have Miss Janis Joplin, who was raw, unfiltered, honest, okay? So because of her blues sort of background, she always leaned heavily into triplets, 12-bar progressions, and it's really no coincidence. Okay, you look at blues, you look at gospels, there's a natural flow to the music, a call, a response, that often comes in threes, okay? Line, response, solution. And that was something that Janice really embodied. Her phrasing was even soulful, with emphasis on beats 1 and beats 3 in a 4/4 bar, right? And that created this push-pull rhythm that made you feel something, that sort of brought the emotion out of the music. And like whether she was belting out Piece of My Heart, Cry Baby, there was always a 3-part structure to the rhythm, which always sort of grounded her delivery and took you on this emotional arc across the song from like the beginning to the middle to the end, right? So, the power of numbers, okay? What does this all mean, okay? Like, is it just random events? Is there something deeper? Look, when I look at the 27 Club and Power 27, Power 3, I think it's all connected, okay? I think it's almost as like the universe is trying to show us that something big is going on and that there's a lot that's larger than ourselves, right? The way that 3 shows up in their lives, music, their tragic endings. Okay, like 3 is a complete number, 27 is a complete number, 9 is also like a complete number. There's just too many, like, once you get here, this is like the end of something, right? It's like you're moving on to another life cycle, another stage in your life. And unfortunately for the 27 Club, this meant death. But I think in reality, for most people, it's like the end of an era and you start moving on towards 30 as your sort of next big thing. But it has deep symbolism, all the completeness, transformation, and that really just seems to tie eerily close to the lives of the 27 Club. So even though they had untimely departures, they have left their mark on the world and they have left us with their creations, their music to listen to and to enjoy. So they did do something with their time here. And who knows what they could have done if they had more time. Alright, let's shift gears to another tragic day in music, given that this has been sort of the theme throughout the video to the day the music died. Now, you have probably heard the song American Pie by Don McLean. If you haven't, go listen to it. It's like an 8-minute song, and it is, the man wrote about the day the music died, okay? It tells you so much, hence why it was 8 minutes long. Because it just had such a big impact on music at the time, right? So, February 3rd, 1959, a plane crashes in Iowa, and it took the lives of the biggest names in rock and roll at that time. Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and JP, the Big Bopper, Richardson. So, let's break it down, okay? Buddy Holly, okay? He was sort of the original rock nerd, okay? Think like classic American movie kind of nerd guy, okay? That is him, okay? And it's a bit weird to associate him with like rock and roll, okay? Because you're probably thinking like Akadaka, you're probably thinking like the Angels, you're probably thinking like Kiss or something, right? Like some Billy Idol, some like grunge rock, kind of more Kurt Cobain kind of vibes, right? No, this man started it, right? Well, didn't start it, but he was like a pioneer in the space. So he was only 22 when he died, and honestly, he was very ahead of his time. Okay, this man was clean rocker, all-American kid. Somehow he was like, yeah, rock and roll is cool, it's sophisticated. He has been sort of hailed as the guy who invented the sound of rock. So he was the first artist inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1986, okay? And some of his most catchy songs are Peggy Sue, That Will Be the Day, and they are honestly ultimate rock throwbacks, okay? Like, thinking like, late 50s, early 60s rock scene kind of going on. And he is really credited to also being one of the first artists to use the sort of standard rock band setup, which is somebody with two guitars, a bass, and drums. Okay, like this man was pioneering like stage presence, pioneering the sound of rock. Okay, like first person band inducted into the Hall of Fame. Like, come on. And even though he did have a nerdy vibe, which probably doesn't line up to what you'd picture a rock and roll artist to look like today, he was really out here pioneering it. People loved him. People loved hearing the music. And honestly, they are bangers. Like, they are bangers. Okay? So, also go give him a listen to on Spotify, Then you got Richie Valens, okay? The 17-year-old who changed the game. So, he was only 17, okay? He was young. And honestly, just getting started, okay? So, Richie is credited with sort of blending his Mexican heritage with the sounds of rock and roll. So he brought the world La Bamba, which, fun fact, is a Mexican folk song. That Richie turned into a chart topper, cross-cultural smash hit. Okay, he's working his heritage in, right? He's trying to convince the culture that he grew up in with rock and roll. Okay, he's trying to live his true, authentic self. So Richie was still in high school when his career skyrocketed. Obviously, only being 17. And so, honestly, next level famous, okay? Like, La Bamba is here topping the charts, okay? You were being shot through to freedom, shot through to fame, which wasn't usual at the time, right? Okay, we're talking 1959 here, okay? That wasn't usual. And the Chicano rock movement actually owes a lot to Richie, because he was one of the first to show that rock and roll is an American thing. Anybody can do rock and roll. It's a global thing, right? So unfortunately, his life was cut short as well, as did most of the people here today that we've been talking about. And then you've also got the Big Bopper. He was the party animal with the golden voice, okay? J.P. Richardson, okay? The Big Bopper, okay? He was living life to the fullest, pedal to the metal. He was a man that was all personality, which you could probably gather from the Big Bopper nickname. He brought you songs. His most famous one was Chantilly Lace, and it's a banger. Still is a banger, still hits, but it was chart topper at the time. He was also a DJ too. So his voice was actually heard on the airways before Chantilly Lace came out. So he was kind of OG influencer just with radio in the 1950s. Okay, he out here doing the TikToks, doing the Instagram influencing over here on the radio. He was 28 when the plane went down. So he had a wife and a daughter, and sort of this whole sort of family life, fame, kind of coming together. Right, his future was looking pretty bright. So yeah, unfortunately, the plane crashed during this winter touring thing where they were all going. And usually Buddy Holly was traveling by bus, but his bus kept breaking down. And so the guys were like, hey, you want to come on the plane? And he's like, yeah, I'll come on the plane. Because it was a really poor organized tour and everything. And it's just like sad to hear that they like all happened to be in there and they died on that plane. And it sort of changed the trajectory of where music could have been going, as these people were sort of pioneering the sounds at the time. But also, that got me thinking about all the musical artists that die in plane crashes, because I'm like, why are there so many? Okay, so you had John Denver. Okay, John Denver went down in a plane crash in 1997 after he lost control of his experimental aircraft. Okay, you have Patsy Cline. She was in a plane crash in 1963 at only she was only 30. And it's like too many people are dying in sort of like aircraft incidences. And I don't know if it's because they tend to fly more when they're on tour or what it is. But that's just eerie, right? Because you don't hear about too many like commercial planes going down too often. Like, actually at the start of the year there was an increase in that happening, and it's like, oh my god, girl, what's going on? Because I feel like with plane crashes, it kind of is like you have a peak period where every day you're hearing about a new story, or like at least once a week, and then they go silent for a couple of years, and it's just like, this doesn't make me sort of want to get on a plane anytime soon. But like, I know I'd be safe, but it's just like there's just some weird sort of, I don't know, shift going on that kind of unsettles me. Okay, but okay, the iconic Miss Dolly Parton is an anti-commercial plane diva. Okay, if she's flying, she's only flying private because she gets that motion sick. Okay, but she usually prefers to take a tour bus. And I'm like, Dolly, honestly, that is probably a smart decision. Okay, with all these plane crashes out here, girl, like, you gotta stay there, get the money coming in. Like, I feel like that could be safer. Given how all these other people are dying. And yes, it's not like a large percentage of like the whole population, but just the amount of coincidences that happen over time, it's just a bit eerie, okay? Just a bit too eerie for me. Okay, so let's just like bring this all together, because have we got derailed today? Yes, but do we like ever not get derailed? No. I'd like to thank you for coming on this journey with me. And I thought I'd give sort of a conclusion of my thoughts before I get into my recurring obsession. So, after looking into 27 Club, Power 27, Power 3, and The Day the Music Died, and also connections between plane crashes and musicians, or I should say aircraft deaths of with musicians in them. It really got me thinking about legacy, okay? Because you think about these people, they have their music, and that's kind of like their legacy that they're leaving behind, which is really beautiful, really nice. I'm sure they've left other things behind, but like, their music's more accessible. Like, you can go on Spotify and like listen to it, YouTube, listen to it. And so you don't expect those kind of things. You know what I'm saying? I was like, well, you know what? I would actually have like this podcast now. So if like people wanted to listen to me, I mean, they could even watch me on YouTube. Like, could just chill out, and it'd be like I was there. But also, you know, it'd be like I'm right there with you, having like a conversation with you. And it got me thinking that, like, it's not really the big gestures in life. It's sort of just like showing up and doing your thing and being like authentically you. And by all the people that we've talked about today being authentically them, they have left this profound impact on the world of music that we know today. And it's just really nice to think about and something to resonate with. And we are back with one of my obsessions. Okay, look, I have been obsessed with MAFS. Okay, MAFS has come to an end. Oh my god. Miss Jackie, okay. Miss Jackie, you are iconic. Okay, the level of delusion you have, and now her and Clint are engaged. Okay. Oh my god, girl. Oh my god. But like, Miss Jackie going to run I'm not a rehabilitation center and in a world red flags on the red carpet. Like, honestly, I feel like I might start using like I'm not a rehabilitation center to people if they just like tick me right off. Like, it's just iconic. It just burns. Like, it just gives people a message that don't talk to you. Like, just get out. Just leave. Like, oh my god. It is iconic. It was also chaotic. My favorite part is when they sit down and they like watch what they've sort of like edited together, like their packages, and it's just so funny to watch. I didn't see Sierra coming out like that, although I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, her and Adrian did seem like a good couple. Like, honestly, I was like, girl. And then Awena was like, oh my god, Adrian, you want to spend time with me? And I'm like, girl, no, run, okay. He said he didn't want it. Like, this was the first good decision you have both made in this whole season. Oh, girl, no. Anyway, they're not together anymore and they ended. So I was like, that's a smart decision, but you could have come to it earlier and, like, continued to move on. F1's back. Oh my god, like Liam Lawson lasted 2 races, girl. I was like, damn, Red Bull, girl. They're like, unless you're in the points, okay, we need to take down McLaren, okay? We've got Oscar and Norris here scoring points, okay? And I feel so glad for Alex Albon too, with Williams starting to get in the points. But Mercedes, girl, Mr. Kimi Antonelli, one of the rookies, okay, consistently scoring points, okay? Like, consistently keeping up with George Russell in his first year of F1. Like, unheard of, okay? Ollie Behrman's doing better than I thought too, because, like, first week with all the practices, he was, like, kept crashing out. And I was like, oh no, girl. And Haas isn't one of, like, the richest teams either, but he's picked his game up, okay? Less crashes, he keeps going, and he's been in the points. And I'm like, go, Ollie. Okay, like, come through, rookies. Like, let's go, yes. Loving it. Now, I watched the movie Sophie's Choice the other day for the first time. I saw it on SBS On Demand, and it was, like, under its classics category. And I was like, yeah, I've heard people talk about this. And for some reason, I thought it was like a time traveling movie, okay? Because people had mentioned like a time machine when talking about it. But I think they might have said that was like another movie where a person had to choose whether or not they wanted to time travel. And it was like their Sophie's Choice. And it wasn't actually about the movie Sophie's Choice. Anyway, it's a 2.5 hour movie, okay? And I was completely wrong. That, like, I was over here thinking it was sci-fi. Okay, and it's like this emotionally raw and deep movie, and it goes for 2.5 hours. Okay, I got like half an hour in, and I was like, "Oh, girl, this is not what I thought it was gonna be," and it was still good. And I was like, "Damn!" But can we just have a moment for Miss Meryl Streep? Oh, girl, she looks so beautiful. Like, the filming of that movie was so beautiful. She looks so beautiful. Girl, I don't know how she did the accent. I don't know how she did the choice scene, okay? Because I read somewhere she had to, like, it was like a one take thing because she was like, that was like way too emotionally heavy. I cannot like drag that up anymore. Like, that's a one and done. And I was like, girl, I don't even know where you're dragging that up from in the first place. Okay, like, oh my God. And then I kind of went on Foxtel, they had Death Becomes Her, and I've heard people say that it's like an iconic, sort of like cheesy 80s movie. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I'll watch it. And then she's in it with Goldie Hawn, and it was about like plastic surgery going too far and like wanting to live forever. And I was like, this is funny as. And she was beautiful in it too. So was Goldie Hawn, and they like it was like one of those movies where you could just tell that they were having the best time on set, and I really hope they were. And it like, oh God, I love that. And yeah, that's really been my obsessions. Oh, my Forex insulator thing that I've shown you before. If you've been watching on YouTube, it died. So I lost 2 beers out of it because like somehow like the metal part where the top screw in thing, it got warped, so then the top thing wasn't screwing in, and so then nothing was staying secured in place. And I was like, damn. So anyway, I bought a Yeti, because I was like, you know what, like I really like the insulated coolers, and turns out you can customize the Yeti. So I got the little God, hang on. I got the derailment chronicles put in on it. I got it AI. They had to do the AI because I tried to put like the one I had in it, and it wasn't like they wouldn't be able to like laser etch that in. And so I got something that was like close enough to it. And then on the back, I got my initials just in case I turn this, I don't know, doing this as merch or something, or other people want one, just so I know it's mine. It is actually, even though it was like double the price of the 4X one. Actually, no, it was only $10 dearer. Before all the customization, and I could leave a can sitting in there for half an hour, and it's like I just took it out of the fridge. Like it does keep it, and it's dishwasher safe as well. So it is definitely actually worth the money. So I've been obsessed with that as well, and still obsessed with my Schweppes lemon and lime mineral water. We love her. We love to stay hydrated, and yeah, that's all I got today. If feel free to talk to me, see me about anything. Give us a like on Instagram if you want. I update all the links and when episodes are released there. Check us out on YouTube. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.